Sounds
fantastic. I'll just leave it like that. But welcome everyone today to Partner Solutions series. I'm really looking forward to this one. I've got Trent McLaren from DiviPay, head of accounting there. So what is I just wanted to ask straight away, Trent, what do you actually do in relation to that head of accounting? You're not doing financial and tax returns and stuff at DiviPay, or?
Yeah, it's interesting the amount of LinkedIn messages, like the spam ones I get, where people want to sell me accounting services because they think I'm the head of which is fair because it's probably not clear enough. But
Yes.
Head of accounting in the roles that I've had now and in the past has always been about the accounting partners, the accounting programs that we operate and run to best support those partners in using those systems and technologies. So when I was at Practice Ignition, it was the same thing. And being at DiviPay, it's all about education and building up that accounting community, accounting resources, our partner program, all those sorts of things.
There's really that eco community that everyone sort of talks about, and it's quite interesting because we've just like your docs, we've just hired Anusa, who's just started this week, who's based. She's actually based in the Philippines, but she'll be moving back, moving to Australia, and I think Australia, not New Zealand, but Australia as soon as she can get back. But to be our head of partnerships and our sort of marketing, media, and head of partnerships. So I'll introduce you in good time with her, but and so we've been sort of doing a lot of team onboarding and everything through this week. But yeah, so Partner Solution Series, I'll just sort of quickly run through those slides I'm going to do. So I do this on a fortnightly basis, just saying Trent before. We started in January. We have had a good range of different ones, from I Love Accounting, doing ESOPs to outsourcing, and we also got Change GPS, who were great partners. We spent a session actually yesterday with Tim and David and the team there, and the whole Lightyear Docs team, just getting to meet each other and a lot better, and actually getting to see how we can work better together in relation to their products and our products. And they've got a great series coming out in September, which Trent and I were just talking about. Not sure how much I can talk about that yet until it actually starts getting marketed, so I won't say too much, but there'll be a great effective a summit that will be happening over in September. So I can't wait for that. And we're going to be sponsoring in relation to that event. So our partner series is all about providing solution strategies and support to be your best. So all that sort of practical stuff in relation to running your accounting practice or advisory practice. And also, I like to think of it, Trent was at the Australian Accounting Awards recently, and he's previously, which we'll talk about in a sec, he won Thought Leader of the Year, and we'll get an understanding of what that actually means. It was a fantastic award. ILA obviously won Startup Firm of the Year. David was talking to me about yesterday, and he got me to talk to the whole team about, he said it was the funniest moment of the night where I didn't have, my team didn't go down because, which effectively at the moment is only a couple of us, but in ILA, but didn't take the team down to Sydney because of COVID and everything. And at my table, I met a North Shore Sydney firm of CEO and COO who was there, and I said, look, if we win, do you want to come up on the stage with me? And I'll introduce you as my executive team. So the team looks a lot bigger. And so
I did not know that. I did not know that. That's so funny, because I remember you giving your speech and this whole massive team of people. I had no idea. That's hilarious.
And they were patting me on the back and everything. Dave sent me a message. He goes, who are those guys? I've hired them tonight. Yeah, so.
Sorry, game face. Sorry. Yeah, good. That was awesome. Well done.
It's pretty good.
We were talking similar at our table. We had a guy named Bo who was up for Young Accountant of the Year, and we said, Bo, if you win, like, we're all going up. Like, it's going to happen. So
yeah, I think I've seen a couple of messages and stuff on it. So
yeah,
it was a good night. It was good to get out and put the penguin suit on and dress up and have a few drinks and see everyone. I think there was close to 500 people there, and
great vibe. I was sitting down next to Dave Boyer and Matt Paff, and if you've ever sat next to those two on a night like that, it's all fun and smiles for hours. So yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, which is good. So yeah, so we've been bringing with solutions, and we're continuing to grow, I guess, our community. And I like, I've got Trent today, but I can personally say from experience, we've just, I guess we're in our infancy in rolling it out, but we've been rolling DiviPay out. Absolutely love it. We're about to roll it out to a number of clients as well, and I really want to push that. So I implore everyone to look at it and really listen and ask questions today. But Trent's role, which we said before, is head of accounting at DiviPay. He's had a number of roles to it, some big labels, Practice Ignition, TOA, Intuit. But I mean, Practice Ignition, I'm a big Practice Ignition user. I know Change has got Engage, which is fantastic now as well. But like I've been using Practice Ignition for a while, and certainly like it in relation to that whole engagement proposal and signing up process and workflow through to XPM and everything. And obviously with DiviPay, which you'll go into, which I absolutely love. I mean, in terms of the integration with Xero, it's fantastic the way it works. And it basically sits as another bank account on there, and the flow through in terms of expense management and everything is just absolutely brilliant. But so I'm just introducing Trent now. I've got up there, which we've mentioned before, Accounting Thought Leader of the Year. It's an absolute awesome title to have. And
yeah, it's been a few years, but I'm hanging on as long as I can. So
yeah, you have to keep pushing it out there. Which is great. So and it must have been an honour to win that. So
it was unbelievable. I never expected to win it at the time. I mean, I don't think anyone ever expects to win an award, but seriously didn't expect to win Accounting Thought Leader of the Year. And there's a few reasons why, and I always very open about why that is. But at the time, I'd been working for Intuit. I'd been working in industry for sort of 4 or 5 years, but I technically wasn't an accountant. So to win an Accounting Thought Leader of the Year award meant that I had to spend a lot of time in and out of accounting to understand accounting as best I can.
Yes.
And kind of compile that all into the submission process and everything else. So, it goes through 3 or 4 different judges. There was, 9 or 10 other people that have worked in accounting for a lot longer than I had been working in industry for. So, I was kind of gobsmacked on the night. And anyone that was there in 2017, if they remember, I had the worst speech on the planet. There was, I had no idea what to say. It was, it was a hot mess.
I was similar, mate. I sort of when it, look, the submission process, as you said, it's actually quite detailed, and you got to put a fair bit of time into it. I mean, you got to put a video, and you got to select 3 songs that you might go up on stage with. I mean, that was hard enough as it was, but in all seriousness, the other sections of it, there's it's unless someone's actually gone through that process, there's a lot you actually have to go through to actually put in and then actually make a to be, you get nominated to become a finalist. Then is a big achievement in itself. Yep. But then to win, and I certainly didn't have anything planned, and I was shocked on the back of it, so which was good. But
yeah, no, like I said, it was awesome, and there's been some really great people that have gone on to win that. And, since then, Andrew Vanderbeeks, Rebecca Mahalik, who obviously won this year. Chaz President, I think, won one of the other years as well. Robin Graham, I think, from the Tax Institute. There's been some awesome people pick up that award since then. But like I said, hanging on to it for as long as I can.
Yeah, well, it makes it even more honourable when you see, names like that and everything being put amongst that and stuff. So, so today's topics, we'll obviously be talking about DiviPay showcasing and everything. I won't try and steal too much of Trent's thunder, but effectively, you can ditch expense, and I've took this off your LinkedIn post, but ditch expense reporting, card sharing, reimbursements, virtual corporate cards, which I think is fantastic. It's interesting on that virtual corporate card. It's interesting. I know there is some competition out in the marketplace, and I know some they have the virtual corporate card, but they're also issuing physical cards. Is it? Yeah. I mean, I don't. From my point of view, I don't see the point of it. But is that something that DiviPay is thinking about, or?
It's definitely something we've considered, but I think a lot of it comes to the mindset shift for people, and for people that adopt digital card payments. And I had this in a post the other week where I'd run a poll on, how frustrating is it when you lose your wallet, and most of the people that were writing back were saying, "Well, I don't carry my wallet anyway, so I don't really care." Yeah. Because everyone has already started to shift towards digital cards. I think the only reason why physical cards can be required, I've had this with car rentals, they really want to see that card printed before you, in their hands, before you can take the car rental off them. So there's still some industries that need to evolve and change. But for 99% of your transactions day to day, I normally tap and pay with a physical card. There's no reason why I wouldn't just be using something like DiviPay. I think, virtual card tech in general is definitely becoming more popular in Australia, I'd say. I've seen a lot of it in the UK and the US for a few years, but it's now really starting to heat up here. But I think the biggest difference, we always get Air Wallets as the biggest comparison, which I'm happy to talk about because we both focus on different things.
Yeah, that's probably the one that would come to mind for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, well, their focus is obviously on the foreign exchange piece and borderless payments and running businesses overseas and, money in different accounts. What you'll see, and you go through the presentation, we're so focused on financial control within a business so that team members within, locally or nationally can spend on things where you've allocated them a budget and you've got full transparency on every transaction, and we've automated the expenses as part of the process. And coded it automatically so that it's all in your GL, your P&Ls are looking great because it's all been done at the point of purchase, not at the point of the receipt, which is where, everyone for the last 10 years has started adopting all the different digital receipting technologies.
But the horse has sort of bolted, hasn't it? If it's at receipt, I mean, especially, often people put reimbursements in, but if they've spent $500 at Dan Murphy's, they shouldn't have. It's past the point. And whereas, and that's what I really love about the DiviPay. We've got our admin staff, and and effectively where we've got in relation to card sharing, they were just coming and getting my card every day, all the time, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden they're going, Michael, where's all the receipts for this? I go, I don't even know what that is. And also there's no control. Like their spend limit is whatever's on the card. There might be 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. They could go rogue.
And you only need one person to ruin the fun, right? Like go rogue, there's nothing wrong with it. And I often hear stories about we've got a few different mining clients, and they've got miners that often go rogue. Sometimes they'll just take their the card that's been given to them, they'll go and buy a TV and go and do all these other bits and pieces. But we start rolling out DiviPay, we can start blocking merchants and start allocating a certain amount of money to get spent on particular budgets or whatever it may be. Or if someone does leave, you can take that card off them straight away. Like it's
that's right. Your risk is so minimal in terms of and soon as they leave, bang, cards off, and it's not calling Westpac or Suncorp and going, we need to cancel this card, and you're on hold for an hour, and effectively logging in. And what I do like is what you're saying is how you can actually limit suppliers as well, which I think is fantastic. And you can, and then down to the granular level, each person can, they can spend it on this type of thing or this type of supplier, and then this amount, and they go this amount each week.
And that's a big focus for us too. Like you're talking about the banks, like if we can help minimize how often you need to interact with the bank when things go wrong or when things go good, like either way, when you want to grow or you need to unwind something that's happened, we want that to be an instant service that you can self-serve through yourself, not having to rely on the bank manager or the support channel to say, hey, you're on hold. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that you lost your card and someone's taken money and blah, blah, blah. No way. Like, how can we do that in the app straight away? How do we do it in the web browser instantly where you're in control of issuing and deleting those cards and accounts if things go wrong?
That flip side thing in terms of issuing is really important as well. I know myself, if you have a new team member and I wanted to issue them a corporate card before DiviPay, it was quite a process. And in terms of filling out the form for the bank, if they weren't the bank that you use, your business bank, if they weren't a client of that, then they'd have to go in and get ID'd. It's quite a rigorous process. And then they'd say, oh, you'll get your card in 5 or 7 days. So then you've got an interim solution.
I had a good story the other day. I met a new firm who was setting up a card for his wife, and they'd done the process 3 or 4 weeks earlier and the card still hadn't turned up, but it was due any day. And I said, look, give me 20 minutes. I reckon I can set you up with a card with cash on it if we do your account right now. And yeah, sure enough, we did. And by the time she had her card, she went to Officeworks, paid for the stuff that she could do. And then the bank card turned up like a day or two later. Even though they'd waited that 4 weeks, it was like, 20 minutes and we're ready to rock and roll. And that's the thing, we're not slowing down. Like everything in technology is, how do we speed things up? How do we be more efficient with our time? How do we get better processes in place that allow us to accelerate, not put the pause on because of, the red tape and the bottlenecks that exist at the banking end. But yeah, it's an exciting time for us. And some of the banks take notice. Like some of our current investors at the moment is ANZ iVentures, like the capital investment arm of ANZ, are so interested in what we're doing. And we get referrals from lots of different banks all the time, business banking partners, where they say, actually, your system's a lot better than what we can offer clients, and you help them out. So we get referrals from all kinds of different banking groups. It's crazy, which is awesome. I'm loving the new journey that we're on. But it's a huge problem that a lot of businesses face. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really at the start of the journey, and you've got so much ahead of you. That's there's so much opportunity I see. But and the last point I've just got in there before we jump in, the accounting awards. I did register. I didn't make it to it, but I did love, because I was actually was with one of our BPO providers, and I went for lunch, and we ended up having a couple of wines and afterwards, but when I said great proof of concept, and I think it was Change GPS, maybe sponsored it alongside yourself or someone else, and you ran it. But I loved it, the fact that, so you put drinks on, pre awards drinks, and what a way to get people actually using DiviPay, and the proof of concept is everything. You loaded, can't remember if it was $50 or something on each.
It was about 40 cards, or whoever turned up basically. But I sent out all the invites before everyone turned up. Some of them downloaded the app. So let's say we had 40 odd people registered to attend these pre-drinks before the awards. I sent out 40 invites to a DiviPay account. Change and DiviPay both loaded up. We put $1,000 into the balance.
Yep.
And as people turned up, I would just separate out and show them on my laptop. Say, yeah, cool, I've just given you $50. Go and pay for a drink and order yourself a cocktail or whatever you want. And you could literally just see people. It was like they're trying out new tech and getting their favorite drink at the same time. So rather than having a bar tab, I've gone with a rolling card tab now instead. So
yeah, I think it's brilliant. Like, it's such a great idea.
Bar you're at, right? It's like, well, we've got the bar tab in our cards. It does, we're not stuck in one place anymore. So
it's
it was really cool.
It's amazing. It was really good. I've actually told at least 10, maybe more people about that, and they've all said the same thing. They go, "What a great idea and a way to show it, highlight it and everything." And
I look forward to doing more of that in the future. So if anyone wants to run a fancy card tab, hit me up and I'll. I'm
definitely interested. I was thinking, we've been running some training sessions in office, and I was thinking the other day, at the back end of it, to get people actually utilising, we've been rolling out FYI docs and a few other things, getting to utilise those systems and effectively show what they've learned from the training. Is maybe it's almost a reward system. We could actually, or a bonus system, and we can actually upload it up on there and allow them to, open up where they could spend that amount and effectively provide it through that, and then they can use it wherever they want, cinemas, anywhere.
100%. Yeah, it's a great way to get people to truly understand how it works. And I think a lot of people know how to spend money, right? Like, that's not what we're teaching how to do, but being able to allocate money quickly and separate it out and create those budgets really quickly, like, that's the layer. That's where we're innovating on top of this, on top of everyday spending. Is, okay, well, how do we spend a little bit smarter? How do we get full transparency on all of the data? How do we capture that expense information at the moment the payment occurs? There's some really cool stuff coming out next month on digital receipting. So we've got an integration with a company called Slip, SLYP. And I'll pull up the site shortly. And basically what will happen is, when we make a payment, or anyone makes a payment at a Slip enabled merchant, so where I can get a digital receipt through Slip, that digital receipt will automatically go into DiviPay against the transaction. So I won't even need to take a picture of the receipt anymore.
Wow.
Because I'll just get a digital receipt automatically the moment I tap and pay.
Yep. Will that then push through to, say, Xero from? Yep. Okay. Wow.
Correct. Yeah. It just flies all the way through to Xero. The only thing I put in is maybe the description of what I bought. And so when I think about how that impacts and changes and evolves in the future, like as more people become, digital receipting becomes more popular in all industries, that problem of chasing clients for receipts, that problem starts to go away, right? And then we start encouraging all of our clients, hey, you should be on digital receipting because you're helping everyone out collectively, getting, again, better access to data, better accurate GST readings. And it's not OCR either, right? It's like an e-invoice type, it's an e-receipt. So it's a data exchange between systems. It's not, here's the receipt, scanning to make sure it's there. It's just a data swap.
Okay. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, we'll jump in. Do you want me to keep running the slides, and then, I mean, you can share your screen, but do you want me to run slides and then you can share when you want to share, or how would you like to?
That's fine. I mean, if you want to, we can just jump to. I don't mind if you want to stop sharing. I'll share on my side because I can share these slides from this point as well.
Okay.
That way I'll make it a little bit easier for you. Cool. So, and now that there it is. I was like, wait a sec, where is it? I had it right here. New share. This one. So this is the same slides from before. I won't go through the who I am part, but let me just talk to you a little bit about the mission of DiviPay. And I do this every time to help build context to why do we exist, why are we here. Yeah. Our mission, and we talk about this every time we have an all hands, every time we get new people in our business, we talk about the fact that we're enabling business owners to feel like CFOs, and we want accountants and bookkeepers to feel like superheroes. Now, when I say business owners feeling like CFOs, we want them to know where all the spending is happening, where are all the transactions going, how are they getting coded, where is that flowing through into the accounting, because we want them to make better decisions based on how their spending is going and happening. That's where our mission lies. When we talk about our values, a lot of our values are led towards, again, in startup life, it's biased towards action. We need a high do over say ratio. Let's, do what we say we're going to do. There's a huge focus on making our customers extremely happy with the product and doing everything we can to accelerate and build a world-class product. So when we talk about burning the house down, we talk about putting fire, keep that fire burning. And if it means we have to burn the house down to make the fire bigger and keep accelerating the product. Yeah. And I loved getting to learn and know more about these values at DiviPay because I feel personally I align to this very easily. I want to work with companies that are pushing the agenda to somewhere we haven't been, and that they are focused on customer centricity, because if you guys aren't happy with what we're building and what we're doing, we don't really have a business model. So I was really excited to learn about DiviPay and that was only 10 weeks ago now, right? So it's still relatively new and fresh. You made the joke before around handing the card around the office and not knowing who paid for what. And one of the first stories I heard joining DiviPay was a company that had a A4 photocopy of the card, and they given it out to 20 people in the office, and everyone had a copy of this A4 on top of their desk. So whenever they needed to make a payment, they just pull out this A4 piece of paper, they punch in all the numbers, and then, as you can imagine, the accounts team at the end of the month is trying to figure out, well, who's done all of this money and where's the money for it? So
they may as well have written all their passwords on it as well.
Please, yeah. So I hear silly, crazy stories like this all the time. And it, beyond me, but it's because we don't know anything better. We haven't had a better system other than, can you just send me a picture of your credit card and maybe WhatsApp me the PIN number if you're trying to do it in separate systems. So the key problems we observe day to day is that there's lots of different systems to manage your spending in a business, whether it's payment tools. So you've got bill payment products, you've got different credit card, corporate card programs. Then we've got separate approvals and procurement tools. Sometimes it's a approval system. Sometimes we're stuck in emails and Slack and other internal communication tools trying to figure out if we should pay something or if that's been approved. We all use different systems for our receipt management, and I think that's probably the one that's had the most investment in the last 10 years. We've seen things like Receipt Bank, now Dext, grow and scale and build a massive company out of this problem around, and we've seen Xero acquire HubDoc and do the same thing with their own systems. And then with all of these things, we want all of this data running back into Xero, QBO, MYB, or whatever you're using, Sage, Reckon, etc. But the challenge here is that in most cases, none of these things are all connected and talking to each other. They might all flow back into your accounting system, but they don't always talk to each other. So at DiviPay, when we see this as the problem, we think, well, how do we build to solve this so that we are the place for all spending? How do we help with bill spend, card spend, subscription spend? How do we know that all of your approvals on payments are all happening in one place? And that's how I always ask and encourage everyone to think about DiviPay. It's the place where all of your business spending happens and then flows through into your accounting software.
It'd be interesting, if anyone wants to jump on chat, but I know, and we'll roll this out at Lightyear Docs next. I've been speaking to the team there, but I even there we do, and I know Laura's listening and she sends through reimbursements, and we've got Lightyear's got an Excel worksheet, which is, your traditional Excel what date was it done, to expend, and then let's staple it. Not that we staple, but we'll scan an email, but it's effectively the old school was staple it. And you get it, the CFO get on their desk and sign off after they've approved it. Then you go to AP or something to load it up. Then you go from AP and load it into the bank, and then it'll probably be an approval again and come back to CFO to sign off on the payment.
Yeah,
and the reimbursement, or it's done by payroll or something like that. And it's just such a convoluted, long process with all this paperwork and documentation.
And I need to add reimbursements to this slide, because this quarter we're about to launch a reimbursements function it'll start with the web browser, but it'll land in the mobile app as well. So that if there is a reimbursement that needs to happen, that team member can take a picture of it, submit that reimbursement through the app. That becomes back through this approvals process, and we can then pay out that employee at that point. When we think about spending, we also think about, what about payroll spend? Because when I get to bill payments, I'm going to talk about the fact that we don't do ABA files anymore. You actually just do it through DiviPay, and DiviPay will do the EFT payments and BPay through our system. We eventually will start talking about payroll and like payroll wages, getting the payroll run, that journal gets pushed through DiviPay, and we then go and pay out the employees, and I guess then, paying super and all those sorts of things as well. Again, one place for all spend management with all this rich data then flowing back into the accounting software. That's our mission and where we're headed. When we the real basics of how it works, we talk about set spending rules with budget. So I put money into my DiviPay bank account. I set some rules on who can spend on the budget and who's got access to the budget. We then issue them with virtual corporate cards, which looks like just here on the right, and it's available on Apple Pay and Google Pay. So as we said at the start, it's 100% virtual digital cards. There's no physical cards that you would normally use. This hasn't been a problem, and I mean, it's not a problem for me personally in my life, but it hasn't been a problem for people that are using it in 99.9% of cases. It's very rare that you have an issue with virtual cards these days. That means you are paying with your phone, but on the back of that payment, we're also then automating the expense management. And the best way to think about that in the accounting software, say in Xero, is that on your reconciliation, DiviPay represents both the bank feed and the spend money. So you're not trying to get all the receipts matching up to the right bank account. It's like, no. It can only all go to one place. Everything draws down from the bank in DiviPay, and then your spend money's coming at the same time. And I'm just sitting there going, match, okay, that's good, all the way through. So I think as soon as Xero gives us the ability to just auto match everything and say anything that matches already, just go for it.
Just go through it. Yeah.
Then you'll cut that out as well. I always just leave this in here for people that don't know what a virtual corporate card is. So basically, it's just your credit card on your phone, and Apple and Google give you a secure way to tap and pay with your phone in store or online. So I can access the credit card number, which you can see roughly on the screen on my phone, which I can punch into travel and airline. I've been flying all week to Melbourne and back this week. I was saying to Michael before the session, I just pull out my card details from DiviPay so that I can use and pay for those things. When
it's so good having to. I mean, remember the days when I'm sure plenty of people still do, but I love my wallet now. Not that I need to carry around much, but I remember when it used to be like this thick thing full of plastic card, like store cards and everything. But I have all, whether it's Qantas frequent flyer, flybys or whatever, they're all virtual on my thing now. It's a matter of just tapping it. I know this is a secure bank card in effect, but then my wallet's like so thin now that, I mean, it's probably thin because it's not much cash in there either, but it's a lot thinner than what you used to do. And you used to have this big bulge in your pants.
Yeah,
you effectively can have everything on your phone, or even Apple Watch you can utilize as well. So
yeah, I mean, my dad uses his Apple Watch to pay for. He's only turned 60. He's not like super old or anything, but yeah, like he loves it. He uses it for that stuff all the time. And it's almost the first question is like, can I use it on my Apple Watch? I'm like, yeah, Dad, you can. So I thought that was pretty funny. But this is me inside my DiviPay account. So what happens when I log into my account is that I can see my card and I can see the budget that I want to spend money from. So the important piece to note here is that when I click on partnerships, I've got access to different budgets every single week. Now, some of these budgets top up every week, some of them top up every month. And by top up, they reset to the limit that they've been allocated. So for my partnerships budget, it'll go back to $1,000 on the 1st of August automatically. So it doesn't accumulate, it just resets itself. I've picked a different budget. So all I do is click use budget in Apple Pay. I click that Apple Pay button. It takes me to my card. The other reason I've got two, because this is my the card tab card. That's my card tab card where you can see here my transactions, Uber, the star. There's a big night. Good thing we didn't have the timestamps on it.
That's right.
And then this is the card that I would use to actually pay for my partnerships work every single day. So I do my Face ID, which you can see on the screen, and then I just tap and pay that against the FPOS terminal or the merchant terminal that's there. When I go back into DiviPay, the expense will come through automatically on my expenses tab. Now, I do mine as soon as they come through, because the app will prompt me and say, hey, Trent, can you please add the receipt to this transaction? And yes, I can, so I do. But this is a good example. I went to a co-working space during the week out in the countryside in Gippsland, east of Melbourne. Yep. I've taken just a screenshot of the email I was given that just had the GST. It's probably not the right thing, so I'm going to forward it on anyway, but I was using it as an example at the time. And that's been added onto my expense. And the category came through automatically as business services, which is accurate based on it being a co-working space. So that was done automatically. When the payment happens, we pick up all the data from the merchant terminal, not from the receipt, because the receipt comes second. So the only thing we're actually using the receipt for is to validate the GST. Everything else is pre-filled other than the description at the bottom. And that's very much how simple it is. Like, a lot of people are using, like, again, maybe it's your traditional bank card and an extra receipt bank or whatever. And now we're just bringing those things into one system.
It's interesting what John Gowings just said. Great Light Your Docs member said ID is no good with mask on. That's correct. It's been frustrating me a lot, John, in relation to my Face ID on my phone and everything with the mask, and you forget and you got to punch in your PIN and stuff. I was talking to someone the other day. It'd be interesting to see what happens in relation to phones and whether, there's some sort of eye recognition comes out to move away from face to resolve that mask problem, because I think we're probably going to have to live with masks in some form for a lot longer than what we probably hope. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely going to happen. And yeah, I do end up having to use my PIN, and then sometimes I end up just moving my mask down just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I can do the thing, which maybe defeats the purpose of having my mask, but it's so much easier than having to punch in my PIN.
Yeah, I end up pulling it, like, because I'll do it at first and go, damn. Well, I'll say a different word than damn, but I have to pull my mask down.
Too funny. So the only other thing I always try to show here is that you can also request money. So if I need to request more money to go on my budget, I can say, hey, I need $500 for Sydney. I'll say Sydney trip. Not that that's happening anytime soon. And I'll put that in my partnerships budget. And you can see at the bottom, it says that request will be sent to Daniel, who is listed as the approver on that budget. So when I hit request, he gets the same thing in his phone where it says, hey, Trent's asking more money. And you can see here, there's examples of what it looks like when it's approved, or if it's been declined, or whatever it may be. That is then instantly available in my budget once it's been approved. So again, I'm not having to call someone at the office and say, hey, I need you to put more money on the credit cards because I'm over my limit or whatever it may be. It's a quick little request on my phone. That person will action it as soon as they get it, and they go from there. And that primarily is the DiviPay mobile app from a user experience, so paying and spending for cards. Yeah. What I always enjoy showing everyone is screen. Sorry.
Because it just, and Trent's probably about to show, just to explain in relation to DiviPay, which I said at the start, it's in effect a bank account, and so you OSCO funds across to it to be available, don't you? That for the cards and stuff. So
we do, yeah. So and that's a good point. So when you set up with DiviPay, what we're essentially giving you is a bank account, and then giving you a whole bunch of virtual cards to spend the money with. and you can separate out the money any which way you'd like to in order to do that. So in the account balance, you get your BSB and account number. You're welcome to put money in there if you'd like, everyone. That would be great. But that is just the number that you'll get in your own account. You then log in and you see all of the budgets on your screen. So these are the budgets we've created for our team. And you can see that you've got multiple people listed on the same budget. But if I go to create a new budget, and I'll just call this, I'll call this my Melbourne trip, or it could be Melbourne project.
Amazing how easy this is to do, isn't it?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's good. Every week I want it to reset to 2,000. If I say Melbourne travel, I choose who gets access to it. And then when these extra funds are approved, as in who's the person that will approve those top ups. And then I just hit create. And what I can also do is then limit, okay, well, this person needs 1,000 because that's the team leader. And these guys only need $500 each. And then I would just create it. And you can see this at the bottom here. These cards are automatically issued to that team member. They would get an email to say, hey, you've been added to a new budget. You've got a $500 limit. If I click on that team member, it would show me all of their spend. And as they start spending, all of that data will start to flow into this transactions screen. So when we say transactions, we're really talking about the DiviPay bank feed. This bank feed I can filter by any kind of particular way that I'd like. So if it's based on the person that made the payment, I can filter that. I can also do it based on them uploading or not uploading a receipt as well. Or I could do it just based on a particular category. We can do custom categories or tracking categories if you're using them in Xero. There's lots of different ways you can filter those reports. All of this data flows into your accounting software the moment it clears on the statement, I would say. So normally on credit card payments don't clear instantly. They sit as pending for 5 hours or so, sometimes longer. The transaction appears here instantly in DiviPay. Once it's cleared and it's no longer pending, it goes through as a spend money into your accounting software to the bank account. So in the Xero example, against the DiviPay bank account, which lives on your dashboard, so everything you can see here will flow through automatically on this transaction screen.
And it's great. It's just like setting up, well, it is a bank account, but it's the same as setting up any bank account. You just set up the bank feed straight through to DiviPay, select the DiviPay and then bang, as Trent said, straight on your dashboard. It's great.
Yeah. The two things that are relatively newer to DiviPay, one of them is the subscriptions product. So basically this allows us to create a subscription credit card for every different app in your business. So in this example, I've got 5 different cards that are active, and that's because I've got this one on pause. So if I activate my Atlassian one, if I have a courier subscription, I'll activate that as well. So what we're saying here, and this, we don't charge based on number of cards, it's based on number of users. So in this version of the product, I've got 7 different credit cards managing all the different apps that we use in our business. The reason this is really cool is because it helps me set a budget and a limit for how much I'm expecting to spend with this app every single month. And it keeps track of that visually here. If I needed to pause or delete this card because it was compromised, and we talked about, losing cards and having to deal with banks and so forth at the start, this is giving you the ability to say, look, there is a problem. We have been overcharged. I can pause it or delete it. I can still work through, I'm still covered by MasterCard in terms of chargebacks and getting that money back. So there's no issues in terms of if there is a fraudulent transaction. It's still a similar process, but I can create 1 card per app and help manage the budgets for all the different. I've also seen examples where some businesses didn't know they had 2 or 3 MailChimp accounts that they were paying for because everyone's got their own different cards and they just pay for things. But this would centralize all of the spend on systems in your business.
Yeah, that's always a concern of mine. Like we've got, especially across different businesses and stuff, that we've got all these different accounts and we're paying more than what we should be in subscription fees on. We should be centralizing, and this really gives you that great snapshot, doesn't it?
Yeah,
just now, well, not just a snapshot, but controlling it. So,
yeah, and as I said, by setting that limit, you're almost creating your own budget for that specifically. So you're never going over that either. One of the newest things we released, and I've talked about a little bit, is just the ability to do bill payments. So we take bills, send all of your suppliers an email and say, hey, this is a new email you send all the bills to. not too different to an in-tray type functionality in a Dex or a HubDoc in that sense. The big difference here is that we'll code all the information you get from the bill, give you the ability to set an approver, so someone that can approve the bill payment. We take out the bank BSB account number and name. Once I've coded it, send it for approval to whoever that person is that it's approving the bill, that will then schedule it for payment and pay it out of DiviPay. So again, I talked to you before, how do we eliminate ABA files? That's what our bills product is set out to achieve. We want all of your bills to get coded, approved, and scheduled for payment in one place, so that we're not having to go into different systems, log into different accounts, get different authorization levels at the bank. It's all in one place.
Bloody awesome. I mean, we're not using that at the moment, but like, gosh, we have to and we need to. So like, we'll get the team to do that. Like, that's brilliant.
This is only 4 or 5 weeks out, so it's relatively new. So yeah, a lot of people starting to get used to it, but they're loving it because it's a simple workflow for bill processing, bill payments. This pushes all the bills directly into, again, if I use Xero as the example, that information goes all the way through automatically and mirrors that status. So if it's in coding required here, we have it as a draft bill in Xero. It goes into awaiting approval. It goes into awaiting payment. We just mirror those stages through Xero as what gets mirrored through here as it progresses all the way through. That still then looks like a transaction, which is this top one here in your bank statement or your DiviPay bank feed on that side. So that's kind of everything. I'm going to just pause there, I think, Mike, and if there's any questions or... Yeah,
I mean, Laura put up on their post, which I sort of added, she said, I'd like to hear from attendees which merchants they would commonly use or they would restrict. What are the type of things that you see people are commonly using, I guess, at the moment, and also what they would restrict? I mean, restrict's probably an easy one.
I turn into the fun police when I talk about all the restrictions. Typically anything that we enjoy doing in our personal lives, I think. So gambling, BWS, Dan Murphy's, casino, entertainment, all those sorts of things.
Gambling, definitely. No sports bet or Ladbrokes.
All those things as well. We had a good example. So Western Sydney University did a trial with DiviPay, and they're still using it at the moment. They wanted to set up a process where they could give cards to students as part of a COVID campaign to help with materials like books, materials, and food and groceries. Before they used DiviPay, this was a reimbursement process. So the kids would go and spend all the money. They go and send their receipts and a reimbursement claim to the admin team, and they would then review it and then decide on whether they could approve or decline that reimbursement. They rolled out DiviPay. They sent us a list of all the things that they were allowed to process. So supermarket, books, textbooks, things like that. In the first week of rolling it out, we blocked $32,000 worth of inappropriate transactions that didn't meet the criteria. And the funny thing about that is that these students, before using DiviPay, they would have spent that money anyway and then tried to claim it. And then the admin team at Western Sydney University have to review $32,000 worth of transactions that they can't approve. So this has allowed them to have and set a rule and a system in place where now they've saved, 10, 20, 30, 40 hours a month reviewing expense claims from all these students, and students have the ability to just go and spend not out of their own pocket as part of this program. So it's a real win-win in terms of how that can work, but it's a really good example of how do we help individual merchants, individual companies figure out what are they trying to achieve and how do we help them block and get the right transactions in place.
What about on traveling? I mean, from when I was in, like I've had a number of CFO, COO roles in ASX listed companies and private companies, and I know, especially ASX, we used to have corporate Amexes and stuff, and used to be travel where things used to get pushed a lot in terms of spend there, especially like minibar and all that sort of stuff. But I think, can you restrict it that level, or is it difficult because it might be wrapped up in the accommodation payment? Or
it could be wrapped up in the accommodation. So some businesses where they want to identify every single transaction, they will actually create an approvals column as a custom field, and what they'll do is actually review every single transaction and the receipt which is what they would have done with an expense like a reimbursement claim anyway. And if they want to update or get an update from the team member and say, hey, talk to me about these additional items on the receipt, like why is that in your claim? You've got, again, the system and the process here to help do that. So yeah, creating an approvals column and then choosing what the fields are. So it could be approved, needs commentary, or, you could have 2 or 3 different options to adjust it to. And then just having the managers. And again, if I filter it by person and say, okay, I'm going to look at all of James's transactions, and then from that, I'm going to go through and approve each transaction one by one, and do it that way.
You sort of have a lot more control. I mean, I know a lot of our sales guys used to certainly indulge when they'd be traveling in terms of restaurants and bottles of wine and alcohol they'd spend on and stuff. So you definitely have a lot more control in relation to that. If they want to, you can only spend X amount if you.
And they can only spend what's in their budget too, right? So
correct.
if I only give, if this is my sales team budget and they've only got $250 or $1,000, depending on who it is, that's all they get. And, for some people, it's like, well, what if they don't give me the receipts? I'm like, well, if you just tell them that you won't top up their budget unless they give you all the receipts, which is the reverse of, if you give me all your receipts, we'll do your expense claim. So it's just thinking about new ways to position and, create the right rules to help get the right buy-in from your employees. It's just a
right environment, isn't it? Yeah. So it's just a mind shift and stuff as well. So John Gowen's got a great comment. They're great for controlling card spends by fraudulent union officials and dodgy politicians.
Yeah, that would be a good way to do it. So if anyone knows any politicians that should be using DiviPay, please let me know. I'd be happy to help them.
Certainly a few of them have been going to the red light districts and stuff, haven't they, and using federal credit cards too.
Yes, indeed. And again, that's another example of being able to block those kinds of transactions. If I just talk through the pricing a little bit now, I'll premise that we do offer accounting and bookkeeping partner pricing. It's there's a program involved that I've just re-released recently, or released for the first time for the business. If anyone's interested in learning more about that accounting program, it's trent@divipay.com, and I'll put that in the chat in a moment. You can also read more about it by clicking industries, accounting and bookkeeping, and you'll see all the different parts of our accounting program there. But in this pricing, at a low end, so less than 20 payments a month, it's $6 per user per month. Now, this is really good if you've got a sole trader client who uses their personal accounts for business spending. Give them DiviPay card and say, hey, rather than spending everything on your personal card, I'm going to give you this DiviPay card, and for the 10 or 20 payments you're going to do in a month for your business, use DiviPay instead. That would then allow you to disconnect their personal bank account bank feed and just connect in DiviPay's bank feed, and you wouldn't have to worry about trying to review 100 personal transactions that don't actually need to be reviewed or reconciled each month. So that's my first favorite tip for everyone.
Yeah, no, well, I think we which we're moving up to the growth now, but I think we used the starter because obviously went through the trial period, but we used it as a sort of test because we were just rolling out to 1 or 2 users at first, and then getting the feel of it, and then now we're starting to roll it out to more.
And most people do end up in the growth plan, and that allows for things like top-up requests, tracking categories, merchant blocking. So what we talked about before, that's all available in that growth plan. Subscription management is part of that. So being able to create, 10, 20, 30 different cards for all the different apps in your business, that's all part of that growth plan as well. If you're becoming a DiviPay accounting bookkeeping partner, you can offer your client anywhere from 10 to 30% off the subscription, depending on your partner status with us. This is outlined on the accounting and bookkeeping tab. When you go a little bit further down towards the bottom, you'll see what the breakdown is and what that looks like. Anyone that comes here, you can click on apply for the program. That will actually help book a meeting straight in with me. And we will just catch up and run through a lot of the things that we've talked about today. So that so that you can check out and learn more about DiviPay. And I've intentionally made this bronze package very easy to get to silver because, in my mind at least, everyone generally has between 1 and 5 clients. They immediately go, this is great for them. We want you to get to silver. Like, that's the reality. We want you to help grow with us, and we want to grow with you too. So we're happy to provide better discounts as more clients come on board. But yeah, so that's DiviPay in a nutshell. We direct integrate, and I've talked about already, between Maya, QuickBooks, and Xero. We've got separate processes for companies using any of these other softwares. Again, happy to dive in and check through how all of that works.
And there's no problems in relation to which I don't believe there would be, but just in terms of issuing virtual corporate cards. So like for Lightyear Docs, we've obviously got support staff over in Makati in the Philippines, and wouldn't have a problem issuing these. And there's no problems in terms of issuing them. It's probably a great solution, because at the moment they use, when they require, they actually use a card under my name as a director on Lightyear Docs. And
Right.
yeah, so it's almost the old photo. It's not quite the photocopy, but they do for
it's close
transactions. But and as I said, we're about to roll it out for Lightyear Group, and so I mean, it makes sense then that we'll be rolling it out to those staff members as well.
Yeah, it's, everyone gets their own card. They're all on certain budgets. Every transaction is completely visible. It's, there's no restrictions on who in your business can use it. I think depending on the country and the adoption of maybe the card payment, like in-store virtual cards, might be the only thing I'd check for out of Australia.
It's them using it online stuff for the Australian.
Yeah, if it's just online, it won't matter. Definitely not a problem in other, like Europe and things like that. So
I couldn't see it being a problem. I mean, thinking about, even if we have it for team lunches over there, which we often give them, we'll reimburse, but effectively they could be, because I know that when I'm over there, I just tap my card and stuff. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, awesome. Anyone's got questions on our security side of things, because it does come up, you can read all of this on this side as well. But we follow every practice and standard that we need to in the country to make sure it's as safe as it would be with a normal bank. So yeah, you're completely protected and can feel comfortable using our technology, is what I'd like to say.
Fantastic. Do we have any questions? I see that we've got your emails put up there, which is great. So if anyone's reach out to Trent afterwards and hopefully sign up, and even for your own accounting advisory practice, but then start rolling it out to your clients as well. Like where we've been talking to a number of clients already, and and showing them and stuff, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. But so any questions, jump on now. If there's not, then thanks Trent for your time today. I really appreciate it. As I said, I'm a great believer and love the product, and hence why I've got it on the Partner Solution series today. And I was mentioning to you earlier, like I do a number of roundtable ones of these too, which I love, and I'd love to have you back on those.
Love to be involved, and thanks everyone for coming to spend the time as well. It's I just enjoy being able to reconnect with everyone after being away for so long. But yeah, thanks for thinking of us, and we're thrilled that you're enjoying using the product yourself. It's great. It's awesome to hear.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, guys. Thanks for everyone joining. We'll send out a recording after this, and it'll be a recording available up on the Lightyear Docs website where they're normally saved. Thanks, guys. I'll also send. There'll also be a PDF version of the slide pack, as well. So with that recording. So thanks, Trent, again. Thanks, everyone. Signing off.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.